All right, so today we're diving into the world of AI, but not just any AI. We're talking about those language models, like the ones writing poems, answering trivia questions, even drafting up legal documents.
It's pretty mind-blowing stuff, really.
It is, but with all this advanced tech, how do we even begin to make sure it's, well, good? And that's where, you guessed it, we get to your deep dive. LLM evaluation. Let's unpack it.
It's a fascinating area to unpack, that's for sure. I mean, it's one thing to have an AI write a half-decent sonnet, but it's a whole different ballgame when we're talking about trusting them for, say, medical advice or managing finances.
Big difference. And that's where this evaluation comes in, right? It's like the quality control department for the AI world.
Exactly. It's not just about, oh, is this AI smart? It's about making sure it's reliable, accurate, and truly fit for purpose. Like, think about it. You wouldn't use a map that you knew hadn't been checked for accuracy.
And with LLMs, those maps are guiding some pretty important decisions these days. So where do we even begin with evaluating something as complex as a language model? It feels like trying to grade a fish on its ability to climb a tree.
Well, just like with any evaluation, it really starts with understanding the goals, right? What are we hoping this AI will do? And more importantly, do well. Are we talking about generating creative text, giving accurate info, or something else entirely, like translating languages?
And those are all very different skills for an AI to master, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where we start getting into the weeds of the different types of evaluation. One of the big distinctions we make is between what we call intrinsic and extrinsic evaluation.
Okay, let's unpack those. Intrinsic evaluation, it's like we're judging the inner workings of the AI, right? Like looking under the hood.
That's a great way to put it. Intrinsic evaluation is all about how well the LLM handles language itself, no matter what the task is.
So kind of like judging a chef's knife skills before they even start cooking the meal.
Perfect analogy. We're talking fluency, coherence, grammatical accuracy, the whole nine yards. And we have specific metrics for this, like perplexity, which basically measures how well the AI predicts the next word in a sentence.
So low perplexity score means our AI is a smooth talker, grammatically speaking.
You got it. It means the AI has a good handle on the patterns of language. But just like judging a chef on knife skills alone isn't enough.
We got to see them actually cook something.
Right, and that's where extrinsic evaluation comes in. It's all about how well the LLM performs on a specific task, like, say, writing a news article, translating a document, or even composing a song.
So it's like we're moving from the knife skills test to the actual cooking competition.
Yeah, exactly. And, just like on those cooking shows.
We need those expert judges.
Exactly. Those judges who really know their stuff.
Yeah.
Like for LLMs, we need a mix of computer scientists, linguists, even domain experts, all depending on the AI's task.
Makes sense. You need someone who can judge the technical stuff, but also appreciate the final product. Whether it's a perfectly cooked steak or a convincing legal argument, it takes a knowing eye.
Exactly. And to take that analogy even further, sometimes you need more than a taste test to judge a dish, right? Like you might want to know about the ingredients, the cooking process, where the chef got their inspiration.
Okay, so we're not just looking at the output, we're trying to understand the how and the why behind it.
Exactly. And that's where our third type of evaluation comes in, human-in-the-loop evaluation. This means having humans directly interact with the LLM, give feedback, and assess things in a more nuanced way.
Bringing in the food critics with their years of experience and refined palates to give us their expert opinion.
Exactly. This could be something as simple as having people rate how good or helpful the AI's responses are.
Or even more in-depth stuff, right?
Right, like having experts look for specific things like factual accuracy, clarity, even creativity, depending on what the LLM is supposed to do.
And I'd imagine this human-in-the-loop part is even more important for tasks that really rely on understanding the nuances of human language. Things like writing a good speech or having a natural conversation.
Absolutely. Some parts of language are just really hard to pin down. Things like humor, irony, emotional intelligence. LLMs are getting better at those, but we still need human judgment for the more subjective stuff.
And for catching those really sneaky errors or biases that might slip past even the best algorithms?
Precisely. So we have an LLM designed to help write job descriptions. An algorithm might be able to spot clearly discriminatory language, like stating a preference for a specific gender.
But it takes a person to catch the more subtle stuff.
Right, like using language that accidentally reinforces stereotypes or disadvantages certain groups. A human eye can pick up on that.
It's like the difference between checking a recipe for allergens and actually understanding the cultural context of a dish to make sure it's not offensive.
That's a great way to put it. And it really highlights why this type of evaluation is so important, making sure these powerful tools are used responsibly and ethically.
So we've got these three main types: intrinsic, extrinsic, and human in the loop. How do we put them into practice, though? Do we have real-world examples of this LLM evaluation stuff in action?
Absolutely. Your notes mentioned a cool case study about evaluating a legal AI assistant. Perfect example of how these types of evaluation come together.
Oh, yeah, let's dig into that. It's super relevant with all the talk about AI in the legal field these days. How do we even approach evaluating something as specialized and potentially high stakes as an AI assistant for legal work?
Well, just like any good evaluation, we got to start with clear goals. What are we aiming for with this AI? What does it need to do well?
Right, because doing well for a legal AI is very different from, say, an AI that writes children's books.
Exactly. For this one, our goals might include things like being able to accurately summarize legal documents, draft basic contracts, or even answer common legal questions in a way that's accurate and easy for non-experts to get.
All while avoiding any biases that might be lurking in all that legal data, right?
Exactly. We want an AI that's not just competent, but fair and impartial as much as possible. So once we've nailed down our objectives, we can start using those evaluation methods we talked about.
Okay, walk us through it. How would intrinsic, extrinsic, and human in the loop apply to this legal AI assistant of ours?
Okay, so for intrinsic, we might look at how well the LLM gets legal terminology and writing conventions. We could use things like perplexity to measure how fluently it generates legal text, or BLEU scores to see how accurately it translates legal documents.
Making sure it's not just throwing around legal jargon, but actually understands it.
Exactly. Then, with extrinsic evaluation, we'd put that understanding to the test. We could give the AI real legal tasks like summarizing a complicated contract or drafting a cease and desist letter. Then we'd have actual legal experts evaluate its work.
And the data used to train this legal AI is super important too, right?
Oh, absolutely crucial. We wouldn't want to train it on, like, pop song lyrics.
Definitely no.
We need tons of legal text, court cases, contracts, laws to give it the knowledge it needs.
Like sending it to law school for AI.
Exactly. But even with all that training, it still needs that final stamp of approval from real-life lawyers, you know?
Human touch.
Right, that's where human in the loop is crucial. We'd have experienced legal pros review the AI's work, not just for accuracy, but also for stuff like clarity, completeness, making sure it's all above board ethically.
So they might be like, okay, technically this contract holds up, but the language here is outdated and could cause problems in court.
Exactly. They bring that real-world experience and understanding that AI, even the best AI, might miss.
And that kind of highlights how this LLM evaluation isn't just a one-and-done thing, huh? Like, it feels like a constantly evolving process, especially as LLMs get even smarter and we're using them in more and more fields.
You're absolutely right. It really is a continuous process, a constant journey of making things better, both for the AI tech itself and for our understanding of how to evaluate it all.
So no handing our legal AI a bar exam and calling it a day then.
Not quite, no. We got to keep testing, keep making sure it's up to date with new laws and precedents, even how societal standards evolve over time.
It's like we're not just testing an AI, we're kind of holding a mirror up to the legal system itself, right? Seeing what works, what could be better.
That's a great point, and it really shows why this whole thing matters so much to everyone, not just the techie folks. We all have a say in shaping the future of AI.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some big takeaways you hope our listeners walk away with today?
Well, first and foremost, I hope they come away realizing just how important and complex this whole LLM evaluation thing is. It's not some simple checklist. It takes a multifaceted approach, a blend of technical know-how and good old-fashioned human judgment.
It's about asking those tough questions, isn't it? How do we know this AI is reliable? What are its limits? And how do we make sure it's used ethically?
Exactly. Don't be afraid to ask those questions, to demand transparency, and to hold this technology to the same standards as anything else that impacts our lives.
Because let's face it, these AIs are going to be a bigger and bigger part of our world. Law, healthcare, education, you name it, and how we evaluate them now, that's going to echo into the future, shaping how we interact with AI for years to come.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's this constant journey of discovery and improvement what I'm really excited to see unfold.
Me too. And on that note, we always love to hear from you, our listeners. As AI keeps becoming more integrated into our lives, what are your hopes, your concerns? Share your thoughts, because at the end of the day, we're all figuring this out together.